In this lesson, you'll be finding the volume of prisms and cylinders. Volume is the measure of the space occupied by a solid. It's how much fits inside. The measure of volume is always in cubic units. It's how many cubes fit inside. This right here is an example of a rectangular prism, and this is an example of a triangular prism. It's a triangular prism because the two bases are triangles. The formula for finding the volume of a prism is big B H, or the area of the base times the height, because you want to figure out what fits in the bottom of this and then multiply it by how tall it is. That would be how many layers of cubes fit inside. So if I want to find the volume of this rectangular prism, I'm going to start out by writing volume equals big B H. And since the base of this figure is a rectangle, in place of big B, I'm going to use length times width. So volume equals length times width times height. So in this case, it's going to be 9 times 5 times 6.5. Now go ahead and calculate that. That's 292 5/10. Centimeters cubed. It's in cubic units because that's how many centimeter cubes would fit inside that solid. Right, our next example is a triangular prism. The base is not this rectangle that it's sitting on. The base is this triangle, and it has its matching base on the other end right here. So when we use the formula volume equals big B, or area of the base, times the height, in place of big B, we're going to use base times height divided by 2. Keep in mind that that B and H, though, has to do with the triangle. And then we're going to multiply that by H, and this H is the height of the prism, which is the distance between the two bases, or in this case 10. So volume equals, the base and height of the triangle is 6 and 7. So 6 times 7 divided by 2, since it's a triangle. So 6 times 7 divided by 2, and then that answer times 10. So 6 times 7 is 42, divided by 2 is 21, and then times 10 is 210 inches cubed. The last figure we're going to work with is a cylinder. You'll use the same formula. You'll find the area of the base and multiply it by the height. So in this example, the area of the base, since the base is a circle, since the base is a circle, it's going to be pi r squared, or the area of a circle, times how tall it is, or the distance between the two bases. So we're going to now plug in 3.14, which is an approximation for pi, and then times the radius squared. Well, if the diameter is 13, that means the radius is going to be 6.5. And then times the height, which is 20. Now go ahead and calculate that. 3.14 times 6.5 squared times 20. the volume is going to equal, to the nearest tenth, 2,653 and 3/10. And then that's going to be in feet cubed. Now, if you would have used the pi key instead of 3.14, since these numbers are a little bit larger, your answer is going to be a little bit further off from the exact answer. Remember, using the pi key or 3.14 is only going to give you an approximation. The pi key is going to get you closer to the actual number, but oftentimes on standardized tests, they'll ask you to use 3.14. So that's what we did here. But that's going to be a little bit off compared to the actual volume. All right, the last question has you finding the volume of a composite solid. It says Tanya uses beads shaped like cubes to make jewelry. Each bead has a circular hole through the middle. Find the volume of the bead. Well, let's start out by finding the volume of the cube. So the volume equals area of the base times the height. And since the base is a rectangle, or in this case a square, length times width times its height. So the volume is going to equal 12 times 12 times 12. Since it's a cube, the height is going to be 12 also. So 12 to the third power, that's going to be 1,728 millimeters cubed. Now we're going to find the volume of this cylinder that's cut out through the middle. Remember, volume equals big BH. Big B stands for the area of the base, and the base is a circle, so that's going to be pi r squared times how tall it is, or the height. So the volume is going to equal about 3.14 times the radius is going to be 1 since the diameter is 2. So 1 squared times the height of the cylinder, which is going to be 12. So 3.14 times 1 squared times 12 to the nearest tenth, that's 37.7 since it's 37.68. So 37.7 millimeters cubed. Now if you want to find the volume of the bead, we're going to take the volume of the cube and subtract the part that's cut out. So we're going to take 1,728 minus 37 and 7/10. And that's going to equal 1,690 and 3/10 millimeters cubed.